Jimmy Carter, the Georgia peanut farmer turned 39th president of the United States, has died at the age of 100. Good evening, everyone. I'm Blake Hansen. The longest living American president died earlier today, more than a year after entering hospice care at his home in Plains, Georgia. Although his career in politics thrust him into the national spotlight, he went on to redefine life after the White House through his humanitarian efforts. President Biden was the first national figure to endorse Carter during his 1976 presidential run. He delivered remarks tonight on the loss of his friend.
What I find extraordinary about Jimmy Carter, though, is that millions of people all around the world, all over the world, feel they lost a friend as well, even though they never met him. And that's because Jimmy Carter lived a life measured not by words, but by his deeds.
One of those who truly was close to Jimmy Carter was a member of our Fox 4 family. We'll have more on that in just a minute. First, Fox's Connor Hansen on the legacy of former President Jimmy Carter.
I, Jimmy Carter, do solemnly swear.
James Earl Carter was born in Plains, Georgia in 1924 to peanut farming parents. He attended the Naval Academy, married his college sweetheart, Rosalind Smith, and served in the Navy for nearly 10 years. After returning home to Georgia to run the family business, Carter turned to politics, elected state senator in 1962 and governor of Georgia in 1970.
I am a candidate for president.
Carter went from an unknown candidate in 1974 to the 39th president of the United States. President Carter's greatest triumph came in 1978 when he brokered talks between the leaders of Israel and Egypt, ending years of fighting between the two countries. Carter also faced his share of problems in the White House, including oil shortages, high unemployment, and double-digit inflation. And in November 1979, Iranian militants captured and held 52 American embassy employees hostage in Tehran. The hostages weren't released until the day he left office, months after losing his re-election bid to Ronald Reagan. Carter returned to Georgia and turned his efforts to promoting peace around the world, including a trip to Cuba in 2002, the first American president to visit in more than 40 years, to call for the U.S. to end its trade embargo. Later that year, the former president won the Nobel Peace Prize. In 2015, Carter announced he had melanoma that had spread to his liver and brain, tackling the diagnosis with a measure of faith and fortitude.
I don't know what the results will be, but I'm ready for whatever comes.
Months later, he was declared cancer-free. In 2018, he joined 4 other living presidents at the funeral service of George H.W. Bush. Like Bush 41, Carter lived a life of charity and nonprofit work. He was often seen with a hammer in hand, building homes for the poor as part of the Habitat for Humanity project all the way into his 90s.
I feel like we always get more out of it than we put into it, although we work sometimes very hard and overwork on occasion.
In 2019, Carter suffered several falls, one requiring hip replacement surgery and another leading to a fractured pelvis. He underwent surgery in November to relieve pressure from bleeding on his brain related to his falls. In 2021, Joe Biden and his wife Jill paid a visit to Plains, Georgia, where the 39th and 46th presidents posed for a picture with their wives. President Carter remained active well into his 90s, teaching Sunday school in Georgia twice a month and keeping a positive attitude.
I've had a wonderful life. I've had thousands of friends, and I've had an exciting and adventurous and gratifying existence.
At 99, the former president left hospice to be by Rosalind's side for the final time, bidding his wife of nearly 8 decades farewell at her funeral services. Connor Hansen, Fox News.